On August 15, 1977, a radio telescope in Ohio was listening to a patch of empty sky. Like every night, it scanned a thin strip of the heavens and printed the noise to paper. Pages and pages of numbers stacked in a tray, waiting for someone to look. 3 days later, an astronomer named Jerry Ehman sat down with the stack. He was not expecting anything. Then, on one page, in a single column among thousands, he saw 6 characters that did not belong. He picked up a red pen, circled them, and wrote one word in the margin. The word was wow. And in the 47 years since, no one has heard that signal again. Chapter 1. Where Big Ear was looking. To understand why Ehman cared about 6 characters on a piece of paper, you have to understand what frequency the telescope was tuned to that night. There is one frequency in the radio sky that astronomers consider special. It is the natural hum of hydrogen, the most common substance in the universe. Hydrogen radiates faintly at 1,420 megahertz. Earth's atmosphere is mostly transparent at that frequency. So is most of the dust between stars. And any technological civilization built on physics would know about it for the same reason we do, because hydrogen is the easiest element in the universe to study. In 1959, 2 physicists at Cornell published a short paper arguing that if anyone out there ever wanted to be found, the hydrogen line was the obvious frequency to broadcast on. It was a quiet channel, cheap to receive, unmistakably astronomical, the cosmic equivalent of a shared phone number. By 1977, several telescopes around the world had begun listening on it. Most of them were small, underfunded, and run by graduate students. Big Ear was one of those. It could not move. The Earth's rotation was its tracking system. As the planet turned, the telescope swept slowly across the sky like a fixed eye watching a parade go by. Each point on the sky was in the telescope's beam for exactly 72 seconds. Then the Earth rolled on, and that point was gone. If a signal was real, this is how it would look. Strength climbing as the beam crossed it. Peaking in the middle, fading out at the end. 72 seconds, neat and symmetric. If the signal was earthly, a passing plane, a satellite, a microwave oven down the road, it would look wrong. Sharp edges, wrong shape, no symmetry. So when Ehman flipped through the August 15th printout 3 days late, he was not really looking for anything. He was looking for the shape of nothing. What he found was the shape of something. Chapter 2. The 72 seconds. The signal Ehman circled was perfect, symmetric, centered. It started faint, rose smoothly to 30 times the background noise, and faded just as cleanly. 72 seconds, top to bottom. That is exactly the profile a fixed source in the sky would produce as Big Ear's beam swept across it. It looked astronomical, not local, not man-made. The 6 characters Ehman circled, 6 EQUJ5, are a compressed way of writing the signal's strength every 10 seconds. Numbers go up to 9. After that, letters. E is 14, Q is 26, U is 30. 30 times the noise floor is not a maybe. It is a slap. The loudest single signal Big Ear had ever recorded in 14 years of running. It was also narrowband, tightly clustered around 1,420 megahertz. Natural radio sources almost never broadcast that narrowly. Pulsars smear, quasars smear, galaxies smear. Narrowband is the signature of a tuned transmitter, either built by something or produced by physics so specific that we can name the molecule responsible. At 1,420 megahertz, that molecule is hydrogen. The signal pointed back to a region in the constellation Sagittarius, high above the plane of our galaxy, in a stretch of sky that contains no obvious nearby stars. And then there is the part that everyone forgets to mention. Big Ear had 2 horns, 2 feeds. The sky drifted past one, then 3 minutes later past the other. If a real source had been there, both horns should have seen it. Only one did. And we still do not know which one. Big Ear's logging software did not record which horn the signal came through. The information was thrown away every night before it was written down. So the wow signal does not just come from a place we cannot revisit. It comes from one of 2 places, and we will never know which. Either patch of sky has been imaged and re-imaged in the years since. Both are empty. No bright star, no flare-prone red dwarf, no known catalog transient. Nothing. Whatever made the noise that night had no postal address, and it did not come back the next night, or the night after that, or any night for the next 21 years that Big Ear kept watching. Chapter 3. 47 Years of Silence. Big Ear pointed at the same patch of sky, on the same date, every year, for 2 decades, always silent. Other telescopes joined in. Robert Gray, an amateur astronomer in Chicago, made it his life's work. Year after year, he pointed the Very Large Array in New Mexico at the spot. Nothing came back. In 1995 and 1996, Gray ran 6 separate observation campaigns covering most of a full year. Silence. Project Meta, run by Paul Horowitz at Harvard, scanned the sky relentlessly through the 80s and 90s. It logged 37 candidate signals. None matched the WOW signal's position. None repeated either. The Allen Telescope Array, designed specifically to chase SETI candidates, looked at the WOW spot in 2010, 2011, and 2017. Each campaign was longer than Big Ear's original 72 seconds by a factor of more than 1,000. Nothing. Not a whisper, not a chirp, not a flicker above the noise floor. Each new survey added a constraint. If something is still there, it is either very faint, very rare, very fast, or pointed somewhere else now. If a civilization sent it, they may have stopped broadcasting before our follow-ups even began. The WOW signal traveled through interstellar space for a very long time before it reached us. We are not synchronized with whoever lives at the other end. If physics produced it, a maser, a magnetar, a passing object refracting hydrogen emission, it may have been a chance alignment of objects that has since drifted out of geometry. Stars move, clouds move, beams stop pointing here. Either way, the moment Ehman caught it would have been the only moment we could, which is what makes the question so frustrating. A one-off detection is not weak evidence. It is the only kind of evidence many real cosmic events would ever leave. Science is built on repeatability. The universe is not, and that asymmetry sits at the heart of the WOW signal. Chapter 4. Every theory has a hole. In 2017, an astronomer named Antonio Paris published a paper proposing that the WOW signal had been hydrogen leaking from the coma of a comet passing through that patch of sky in August 1977. It was a tidy idea. It also did not survive contact with other astronomers. Comets do glow weakly at 1,420 MHz, but not at 30 times the noise floor, and not narrowband. A comet's hydrogen cloud broadcasts across a wide range of frequencies, like everything natural does. The WOW signal did not. The 2 comets Paris named also were not in the right place in 1977. Their orbits put them off by hours and degrees. The geometry, when you do the maths, does not close. Other explanations have come and gone. A satellite reflecting an earthly transmitter, ruled out, 1,420 MHz, is internationally protected from broadcasting. A military source, Big Ear's narrow listening band, excluded the modulation patterns that military communications used. A stellar burst, but no known star type produces a 72-second narrowband emission at the hydrogen line. A passing maser, possible, but the geometry is fine-tuned to vanishing odds. And then there is the explanation that Ehman himself, after years of being asked about it, came closest to endorsing, and then never quite did, that it was a real signal, of unknown origin, and that the most honest answer is the one nobody wants to write down. We do not know what it was. And we will probably never know. But unknown is not the same as supernatural. Unknown is not the same as alien. Unknown is, in radio astronomy, an entire honest category of result. A 2020 review by Robert Gray, the same astronomer who spent his life listening for it again, surveyed every published explanation and concluded that none of them works completely. The signal is consistent with an astronomical source. It is consistent with a technological source. It is consistent with neither in full. It sits in a small, stubborn pile of detections that look real, that no one can explain, and that no one can replicate. Astronomers have a phrase for it. They call them anomalies. Things the data show, but the data alone cannot finish. And anomalies are how science usually moves. Slowly, awkwardly, and only after a second example. We are still waiting for the second example. Chapter 5. What one-off detections mean. There is a quiet implication in the WOW signal that most explainers gloss over. If a real civilization is broadcasting, then statistically, the most common kind of signal we should detect is exactly the one we got. A short ping from a faint source that we never hear again. The Drake equation, written down at the same Cornell conference that first proposed listening on the hydrogen line, gives a rough way to think about it. Even under optimistic estimates of how many transmitters might exist, the time window in which any one of them overlaps with our window of listening is short. If the average broadcaster lasts a few hundred years, and the galaxy has lived for 10 billion years, then most signals from most civilizations are already gone before we even existed to hear them. Under that picture, a single 72-second blip is not weak evidence. It is what success looks like when the universe is big and the listeners are few. The wow signal does not prove there is anyone out there, but it suggests that if there were, the evidence might look exactly like this: a single page, a circled column, and a margin note from a tired astronomer 3 days late. Absence of repeats is not absence of signal. It is what a real one-off detection would look like, and that is the part nobody who works on this can put down. The original printout, the one Ehman circled in red ink, still exists. It is taped to a piece of cardboard and kept in the Ohio History Center archives. Big Ear itself is gone. It was demolished in 1998 to make room for a golf course. The patch of sky it pointed to that night is still up there, untouched, still silent. If you found that useful, there is more like it. Subscribe to Strange